All right. Hello, everybody. Hope you're all doing great. Happy January. We are launching to another Dear Heretics advice column segment here, Nolan. Thank you all for the questions, by the way. They're coming in hot. LinkedIn, to our emails. Please keep them coming. They are unfiltered, they're difficult, and they're really helpful for everybody. So thanks. Here's the question, Nolan. Hey, Kelly and Nolan, I've been listening to HR Heretics for about a year, and I've learned a lot. Thank you for the candid conversations and thoughtful topics. I'm writing with a question for Dear Heretics. I've worked in various HR leadership roles for the last 15 years to mid to large size companies, 2,000 to 15,000 employees. I have the opportunity to join as a chief people officer at a smaller Series C startup with about 300 employees. I am excited, but unsure how to adjust. I need to figure out an approach and style going from a bigger company to a smaller founder led organization. Do you have any tips for what works and what I can be thinking about?
Yeah, this is such a great question because y- y- very often you will get people who work at later stage companies being like, oh, I could come in and kill it at an early stage company. And it's a completely different world. And what I love about this person is they already have the self awareness, which is step one, to understand like what you know and what you don't know. And so I think that is like step one going into this is always be aware of your gaps. Have the self-awareness to say, this is what I need help with. And then go try and surround yourself with people who can round out those gaps. So step two then is like really understand like what are you walking into? And Kelly, we've talked quite a bit about like interviewing. And I think early stage companies, you have to be really, really careful about what you learn in the interview process. I don't think they're being malicious. I just think they're really bad at it. And then they tend to get into the mode of I want to hire you. And so I have now stopped telling you all of the bad things about this place. And I just tell you all the good things. And I'm like in recruit and close at all costs mode. And so it is impendent upon you to understand what's actually going on there. Number three is to understand everything you have learned at a large stage company is not applicable at an early stage company. For example, you will be flying at 70,000 feet. That's the same, I guess. But you're also going to be required to do the actual work. You are not going to have a large team under you. At 300 people, you might have like two people on your team. You might have zero HR resources because the company is like only focused on recruiting right now. And so, are you actually prepared to do the work? And then I would say, like, number four, before I turn it over to you, is the most important thing at any early stage company when you're joining as an executive is the relationship with the founder. And that is something that, I always say time cannot be replaced. You need to spend time with that person. Two 45-minute interviews or like a lunch is not enough. Like, go get into the trenches with them, try and help them solve problems, do it for free. That way, you're both going to understand how each other works, and you're going to have an opportunity to build a relationship before you start. Because ultimately, that relationship, if it's not there, nothing else matters. You're not going to last.
Yeah, and they did say, like, I forget when we recorded this, but they said the recent conversation about managing a CTO founder was a great example. At a large company, I probably would have pushed for an exit, but your discussion convinced me that's not the right path for a smaller organization.
Yeah.
So it's tricky. It's tricky, and I in my career, no, I don't know about now, but like there was so much bias on bigger company people going to smaller early stage companies, and then those people going to bigger companies. And I don't like it because I think it shuts out people that actually can make that jump.
Yeah.
But there is a reason why that persona kind of exists, and smaller companies think that because you are flying at 100,000 feet, it's a different focus, and it can be the difference, like, of literally like hitting a brick wall of just chaos. And sometimes that's actually really hard to deal with. So I think some of my pieces is, I think honestly, to be very honest with everyone, the biggest one that I've seen, just because I had 10 years between Intuit and Yahoo, and then I had 15 years with the companies she's describing with multiple founders, 300,
Yeah, you've done that.
These employees have power. Like you must be one with the people. Like you are not coming in here to be, the HR team for this company and we're building things for people. Like they are in your shit. And if you don't allow them to be, you will fail. You might not fail by getting kicked out of the building, but you will not carry respect. You will not really be listened to, right? You're the person they'll send memes about, things like that. Like you have to make sure that you connect with these folks and not in a fake way. That you actually want to connect with them and hear what they're going to say and are transparent with them. Like every venture company I've been a part of, there's not one all hands that goes by, and we all fucking know they have them like every 2 weeks or like it's very that myself or someone on the people team is not up there explaining what we are doing, why we are doing it, sharing information, sharing context. In this job, coming from this larger company, you are going to be pushed to the next level about why you're doing everything you're doing, from individual contributors all the way around.
Yep.
What do you've had that experience? It's crazy.
Oh my God. I think that's like the best advice ever. And I would take it a step further, which is if you cannot make those people your allies and friends, I don't think you have a shot. Like if they view you as an enemy, you will have a target on your back that you are unaware of, and it will slowly grow to the point to where it cannot be removed.
And you know what else can happen? This is very real, especially tenured employees or any employee, right? But the influential individual contributors, if that founder gets a call or a Slack or a knock on the door that says this person's awful.
Yep.
And look, I'm not saying you can't disagree with folks. I'm not saying to go around kissing everyone's ass, but you have to view these companies as your whole team. It is not exec team, everyone, or HR team. Like it's literally one team.
They have to feel heard too.
Totally.
It doesn't mean you have to act on everything that they say, because they're going to say crazy things. Like, for me, it was always like around comp. Like everyone's unhappy with their comp, and like they're expecting you, especially as the head of HR or chief people officer, like you're going to fix my comp, right? And so you got to be like very careful about those things. But I do think, one of the things that you guys did a really good job of at Pendo that I learned about is explaining how and the process so much more than you do at a big company. At a big company, you just basically say like, this is the thing, take it.
Yeah.
And startup employees are entitled, especially early startup employees.
Yeah.
And they have an expectation that you explain your work and you show your work.
Yes. They're also very smart.
Exactly.
I mean, they're not like army members. Okay, fall in line and what? I mean, they're protesters. They are extremely smart, and their bullshit meter is extremely strong.
Yeah. The other thing I would add about that is before you start, you can begin to make allies with them. And so this is like, okay, CEOs extended you the offer, you accept. When you're in that accepted, not started mode, ping the CEO and say like, who are the 5 early employees that I need to be close with? Reach out to them before you start. They're going to feel awesome. Like no one, like, every day they're just like fighting for like a bigger voice, and you're going to give it to them beforehand. It's such a great way to like relationship build and make them part of your team.
Yeah. Hey everyone, we'll be right back in a moment after a word from our sponsors.
I must admit, I used to believe that AI didn't actually exist in recruiting or HR. That is until my friend Heather Doche, who leads talent at Signalfire, told me to check out Metaview. I got into the product and was like, wow, AI actually does exist in recruiting, and this product is sick. Metaview is the world's #1 AI scribe built specifically for recruiting. Their AI records and transcribes hiring conversations, like intakes, interviews, and debriefs, then provides perfectly summarized notes of everything that was discussed. I've seen firsthand how tough it can be to extract consistently high-quality data from candidate conversations. I've been in debriefs where interviewers told us about their feelings instead of what actually happened in the interview. And I've seen VPs and CEOs block hires because they didn't learn anything from skeleton scorecards. Metaview changes everything. With perfect notes from every conversation, your people can focus on creating a human connection with candidates, and they can save time on the busy work of cleaning up notes after every interview. But it's so much more than just a time saver, because perfect notes means perfect data. For every candidate and every pipeline, hiring teams can make confident, informed decisions, and talent leaders can finally take control of the interview process. Metaview covers all your compliance needs, works with all your existing tools, and takes less than 3 minutes to set up. Join talent leaders at organizations like Brex, Deal, HelloFresh, and Quora, and check out Metaview. Head over to metaview.ai/heretics to talk to one of Metaview's product experts. Tell them that me and Kelly sent you. Or you could just go to their website and get started for free. You'll be up, running, and AI-enabled in minutes.
The other thing I would say is, this is like one of the best questions someone ever gave me as we were trying to hire them is, what are the sacred cows? And asking it to the CEO and then also asking it to the early employees. So you just know where not to step, because there are landmines all over the goddamn place. You can't see them. You don't know where they are. And if you step on one inadvertently, it doesn't matter if it was intentional or not, you're going to get blown up.
Yeah, and the landmines, I feel like no one's going to take this job anymore. I mean, geez, but they're usually very inconspicuous. They're not straightforward. They're emotional.
Totally.
They're like based on things that you really can't explain very well. It's
Totally.
like, on the other hand, when it starts working, it's incredible. Like it is the best feeling in the world. You've got, all this wind behind you and with you. You're making stuff happen. You're changing people's careers and lives. It is awesome when you get there.
It's intoxicating.
I mean, yeah, look, I'm back in it interim. I mean, I'm addicted. It's ridiculous. So a tactical on that, every venture company I've ever joined the last 15 years, if it was 300 people or less, I met with every single person the first 3 months.
Damn.
I didn't care if it fucking killed me. Sometimes it was 20 minutes. Every single person, to kind of demystify who you are, how you think about the godforsaken function of HR. I mean, it literally gives you a reset button and a really nice start to be a part of that team. If you join this group of 300 people and no one sees or hears from you within 3 months, you're kind of done. Or at least you're on like a 10.0 incline on the treadmill. You know what I mean?
Totally. You know what's also cool about that idea, Kelly, is like, if you do that, you could show the redacted version in an all hands of like, this is what people are saying.
I have.
And then you could show the unredacted version to the leadership team to be like, team, this is what's going on around here. This is what's actually people are actually saying about where we're at.
100%. And that's what I did. I remember hired specifically. It was like, here's what we're focused on in all hands. And that came from you, came from the exec team, came from the board, came from my own observation. Like it comes from multiple places and then it will change. And that's the last thing I have to say about this is get ready for the context switching exhaustion marathon of your life. And that was a big thing I learned coming from, the Intuits and the Yahoos to these companies, is you can just crush yourself very quickly. It is a 100-mile marathon. And they're like, even if you kill yourself and do great, here's 100 more. So the last thing I'll say is the energy conservation and the smartness with which you spend your calories. Not everything is equal. And it's really important, because you will fire out and burn out and all these things. So to have the judgment on how to, again, allocate those calories wisely, it's really important. I mean, you'll go from comp committee meetings where board members are up your ass and then to an SDR complaining to you the next meeting. I mean, it's insane. And you got to figure that out because it's very different.
It's such great advice. The other piece of advice, which I tend to like give my wife a lot, is you can't take care of others if you're not taking care of yourself. And so whatever you need to do, we've talked about it before on the show, but for me, it's like I got to sleep 8 hours. I need to work out, and then I can get run over all day long and still survive.
Right.
But you got to figure out what it is for you and have it be a non-negotiable, because what ends up happening at early stage startups is the boundaries tend to blur. And so you just have to be firm on what your 1 to 3 are. You can't have a million of them, but what your couple are, and then not bend on those, because you have to get up and do it again tomorrow. And that is always the case.
You'll get tested really quick. We don't have the hours between 12 and 2 anymore to go to the corporate gym and shower and
those days are over.
All right. Great question. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks all.
HR Heretics is a podcast from Turpentine, the network behind Econ 102, Moment of Zen, and Turpentine VC. Subscribe, 5 stars, share it on Apple, YouTube, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts, all the things.